My name's Anaya, and this is my mom, Benita. And today we are making a vegan bread with nuts.
Yeah, it's going to be a vegan, gluten-free bread. This is not my recipe. This is a recipe that a friend actually sent me, and I think it was from the Bonjon gourmet. And it's such a beautiful bread. It uses oats as the binder, lots of nuts, seeds, and some of the grains. And it's a great option for bread. I love to eat this bread with avocado, like an avocado toast. You can toast it. I put coconut oil and jam on there with a little bit of salt, cream cheese, whatever you want. You know, whatever toppings that you would normally put on bread, this is the perfect bread for it. We love to serve it with hummus. We love to have it in lots of different things. So let's get started on this bread. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, I like to start our cooking with setting intentions and being grateful, because the more energy that's positive that we put into our food, this is the food that we're putting into our body, and that our body is incorporating all of these cells. So we're prepping our body, we're prepping the food to really have this high vibrational energy. So what are you grateful for?
I am grateful for my mom.
Oh, you're so sweet. I am grateful for you. And I'm grateful that we have access to really good quality foods and that we can choose to make good quality foods for ourselves. There's a lot of people who don't have this ability. And the more that we empower ourselves and take control of our health, the more that we have the ability to help others who do not have that same power. So I encourage you to do that. And I'm going to set an intention to make really good tasting bread that our family enjoys, that our body enjoys, that makes us feel good, that we digest well, and keeps us nourished and alive. Sound good to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is that we are going to toast some seeds and some of these ingredients. Now, the beauty of this is that this recipe can be modified. I've made it in so many different ways. We're going to talk about some of these modifications, and it's just about which seeds and nuts and things like that you use, and if you want to have a little bit of sweetness, if you want to keep it as is. It's a very forgiving bread. You can make it in numerous different ways. So you're going to start by preheating the oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is so that we can toast some of these ingredients. So we're going to start with 1 cup of sunflower seeds. All right, we're going to put the sunflower seeds in that baking dish, and sunflower seeds are really good for our gut microbiome. In fact, every single...
So just like spread it around?
Yeah, just spread it around. Every ingredient in this bread is really good for the gut microbiome. So sunflower seeds are literally the seeds of a sunflower. I don't know if you can see that, but they're tiny, they're small, they're really nice when they're toasted, and so that's what we're going to put into this bread. Very good. So the next thing we're going to do is a cup of almonds. And I like to do sliced slivered almonds. I don't recommend putting whole almonds in because then you're going to have these big chunks in there. And so for slivered almonds, you can either buy slivered almonds or you can run them through like a food processor, chopping them really quickly. I think so we're only at about, let's say, a 1/4 cup of slivered almonds. So we can, just 1 second. Let's see. We can replace that with something else. Now, I don't have any other nuts. I could use walnuts, I could use pecans, pistachios, whatever nut you want to use. But instead, I'm going to add oat groats because this is what we have. Oat groats are, again, it's something that I don't normally eat. And so it's wonderful to include it into something to include some variety in our diet because our bodies really like variety.
Spread it around?
Yep, go ahead, do the same thing.
So we should spread it around, just like the sunflower seeds.
Just like the sunflower seeds.
And then pat it around so it's nice and spread.
That looks like a beautiful painting. I wish you could see the layers of these seeds. They look so beautiful together. All right, now we're going to use 1/3 cup of buckwheat groats. Buckwheat groats are, again, buckwheat just being another grain. It is so good for our digestive tract. And, this is another way, go ahead, spread it around. It's another way, again, to start to get a variety of grains and seeds into our diet that maybe you don't normally get all the time. And, you know, this is going to be in the purest form. Now, buckwheat groats are, you know, they're these interesting little shape. I don't know if you can see them. They're super tiny.
They look like chocolate chips sliced in half and rounded a little bit.
Yeah, they kind of look like cacao nibs. But they're, you know, they can add a little bit of texture. They will soften a little bit when we start to put this in. And then the final thing that we're going to add right now for this part, for the toasting section, is millet seed. Now, millet's something else that's often used in a lot of breads to add a lot of variety in. Yep, again, same thing. You're going to spread it around. These are small little white seeds.
And they look like eyeballs.
They look like teeny tiny eyeballs. And so we're going to toast all of this at 325 degrees. Great job, great job. Okay, so while this is toasting, what we're going to do is we're going to prepare the rest of this mixture. Now, this really doesn't need to take long to toast. We're just trying to open it up a little bit, bring out some of the oils, give it a little bit of brownness so that, you know, it enhances the flavor. It just changes it a little bit. You're welcome to use them raw and to just bake them as is, but this really gives the bread just a nice extra layer of flavor in it. Okay, let's go. So if you can, this would be great if you can have this on a baking tray or a sheet that can spread this out more evenly. We unfortunately don't have one that's big enough, but so we're just using this totally fine. Midway, I might go give it a little bit of a mix through so that more of it can toast on the top since the heat's coming from the top of the oven. So the oven's been set at 325. I'm going to go put this in.
Using bread dough too.
Yeah, we're making our own bread dough. That's what we're doing in this. Isn't that cool? All right. So now we're going to get the rest of the ingredients. As I mentioned, so we are using oats. So these are old-fashioned rolled oats. You're going to do 2 1/4 cups of these. So old-fashioned rolled oats are not the same as quick oats. They're not the same as steel-cut oats. These are very big, flat grains. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, I'll get them.
Yeah. You see that? Really nice. So they're big and flat grains. They've been pressed and they are going to soften up when we add some water to it. And they're going to be like the glue.
That's how you make oatmeal?
This is how I make oatmeal for you and me. Yeah. This is going to be like the glue in the bread instead of using something like egg or some other binder. And what's really good is oats are extremely good for our gut microbiome, the bacteria that live in our large intestine that make us who we are, that keep us healthy, that keep our hormones, our immune system, our digestive fire, all of those functions. This is where we make all of our happy molecules like dopamine and serotonin. So this is going to really help feed that area. It's going to serve as the glue for the bread to hold it together. And so, I mean, this is just all goodness in one.
Smells good.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. I'm glad to hear it. So we're also going to use some chia seeds. And let's see. Let us do 1/4 cup of chia. So chia seeds, I think everybody knows chia seeds. Now, this is not like when we make chia seeds and you soak them and they inflate a little bit. You're going to find them to soak a little bit with the water and the moisture in this, but it's not going to be enough to really enhance the chia, to really make it that like nice texture that you might get when you soak them overnight or in like a hot liquid, and so they become like a gummy thing. This is to add a little bit of a crunch into this bread. It's just very, very subtle, and it's just really nice. We're also going to add 1/2 cup of flaxseed. So these are whole flax seeds. Now, you know, I'm still trying to understand if it's the most beneficial thing when we use whole flax seeds because our body really can't digest them. They have to be ground up in order for our body to really get the nutrients. Yeah, they're fun, right? The thing with whole flax seeds is that, again, it's going to add a textural variety We might get some nutritional benefit for it. It's going to provide a little bit of fiber, but I do believe that a lot of this is going to pass through our system because we're not going to break it up in the same way, though we will get some from chewing when this is cooked a little bit. And then we are going to add 1/3 of a cup of psyllium husk. So psyllium husk, if you can see that label, this is purely fiber. That's all it is. It's 100% fiber. We don't digest this. This is pure plant fiber. And what happens with this is it just helps us have a better digestive system. Anytime you're looking for improved digestion, psyllium husk is really good natural way to deal with that by adding some fiber into your diet.
And it's nice and furry.
Yeah, you like it?
It feels like Jules' fur.
Nice.
Just very smaller.
Oh, very cool. So what you can do to this is the basic recipe that I gave you. And those are all the ingredients that we're going to add in besides the liquid now. But you are welcome to use other things. Like I've done this with farro before. These are farro seeds. Again, it's going to add a little bit more crunch. Experiment with different grains and seeds. Amaranth is another good one. There's so many things out there, and this is a great way to add variety, as I mentioned. I'm also going to add some pumpkin seeds. It's something else that I love. Now, if I was using raw pumpkin seeds, I would toast them. But we're going to play. We've had these activated sprouted sunflower seeds for a while. We used to snack on them. I don't know why we're not snacking on them right now.
I didn't.
No, you didn't? Well, I used to toss them in my salads and stuff. And
I'm supposed to eat them with 2 front teeth missing.
I know, 2 front teeth missing. Growing up. But, you know, I'm going to sprinkle some in. Okay. You want to sprinkle some in here? You want to grab some? These are already salted and have been cold pressed with using olive oil. And so I'm not going to toast these. I'm just going to use them as is because they've already been activated according to this. They're probably better just on a salad or something like that, but they do add a nice taste to it that's slightly different. You can smell them a little bit. All right, we'll just add a few. We don't need to add too many. So play with it. Add different combinations of things and have fun. Something else that I also do when I'm making this bread, sometimes if I want a little bit more sweetness, I might mash up a banana, put it in. I might bake pumpkin or butternut squash and then take that and puree it and add it in. And again, it's going to give you a really nice sweetness in this bread that's going to be very different from just a purely savory bread. Wonderful. You know what we didn't add? We didn't add salt, so let's add that salt. We're gonna add, let's say 2 teaspoons of some salt here. You can use a measuring right here, this one. So 2 teaspoons, we're using pink Himalayan salt. And yeah, thank you. And so just 2 teaspoons. You know what I love you're doing, Anaya? You're using your hands to mix this because the more we engage with our food, the more that we can really put our energy into it and it's going to give back to us. Everything is about energy. You know, the food we put into our body creates energy for us to function and live. We have become addicts of food in lots of different ways, but when we start to really look at it as energy and we start to play with our food, you start to feel the way you're being nourished differently. So the mixing with our hands is like a really, really good way to get in touch with our food. Okay, so we're gonna add the toasted stuff in. So we want to make sure that we are preparing our...
A circle or a square?
We're going to trace this. So we're going to use a loaf pan to bake this. Now you can use whatever dish that you need. It's just going to be how you slice your bread, right? Or you want to, you want to have like a nice loaf if you want to treat it like a bread. So I like to use these loaf pans. And just going to put parchment on the bottom of it so it doesn't stick. So she's going to trace that. And then we're going to cut it out. All right? You're doing a great job there.
You have to be very careful and precise when you're cutting these things if you want it to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you want it to, very.
All right. So she's finishing cutting this. These are just slightly toasted. They're perfect. They're lightly brown. I'm not sure if you can see the color there, but I'm going to add this into this mixture here So we have all of our nuts and seeds together. Now, because these are warm and toasted, I wouldn't necessarily stick my hands directly into that yet.
Oh. And then I like to see if it fits inside. Take this. And it fits
perfectly. We're going to oil the sides of this pan so that the bread can easily slip out of this. So I'm going to go get a spray coconut oil that we like to use.
It smells good.
Nice.
You want to smell it? Doesn't it smell good?
Now, you're welcome to use whatever oil you like. I like to use coconut oil because it is, a stable oil that can handle lots of different heat temperatures. Yes, it does solidify at room temperature, and so some people don't like to work for it or because of the saturated fat. But if you are careful with the amount of oil that you're eating and the fats that you're eating, then the saturated fat's not going to hurt you. I do believe that is important in a vegan diet to have a saturated fat, but if you're eating a lot of meats or something else, then you definitely want to watch it.
Not too hot.
Not too hot? Use your hands then. Go ahead. If you're comfortable using your hands, I highly encourage it. Mix it all up. Now, I probably should have used a bigger bowl for this, but that's okay. Go ahead, stick it all in all the way to the bottom.
Okay, wait.
Maybe a little bit hotter then. And so once this is nicely mixed up, we're going to add our liquids in. So for the liquid, it's pretty much just water. So this is 2 3/4 cup water, and we are just going to pour it in from here. But in 1 second, absolutely, I would love you to pour it in. But I just want to talk a little bit about water first, because water is really, really important.
Without what? You can last a few weeks without food, but without water.
She's absolutely right. Water is one of the most important things that we put into our body. We talk about when we look for life on other planets, what do we look for? We look for water. This is how we came into being here. So this is the source of life for us.
Speaking of water, I'm getting mine.
You get your water. So our water is triple filtered because we want to make sure that the water is removing everything that we can from it that is not in our benefit. And so for us, we have a water system that comes into our house called the halo filter. Then we have the Kangen water, which then ionizes it, which can make alkaline water. And this is very different from buying alkaline water in a bottle. It's, when it's alkalized, it's changing the molecular structure of the water compared to just adding something to change its pH. And then the final filter that we use is a Berkey filter that takes out pharmaceuticals and fluoride and like all the bad things that are in there that are blocking us.
Cheers.
Cheers. So, you don't have to filter all your water the way we do, but I just highly encourage you to pay attention to the difference. I also like to speak intentions into the water because this is what we carry into our body. And if you've ever read of these studies, there is a lot of molecular memory in water. And so when you speak intentions into it, you are actually, changing the structure of this water and you're bringing that into your body. So I'm going to speak an affirmation that if you'd like to speak one too.
I am love.
Oh, that's beautiful, Anaya. I am the embodiment of optimal health. I am living my best life. And, it's just as simple as that. When you put intention into your food, your body feels it. All right, do you want to mix it with your hands? Go ahead. You don't have to use a spoon. Go ahead, just mix it all together. So that was 2 3/4 cups water. And now I'm also adding coconut oil. This is a 1/4 cup of coconut oil that I melted. You're welcome to use olive oil or anything else, but this is great.
Don't do it. Can I wash it with my hands and then stir with a spoon?
Okay, go ahead. All right, so this is being mixed, and then the final thing that we're going to add to this is 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. So there's very little sweetness in this altogether, and like I said, you can add additional sweetness through banana, pureed pureed butternut squash or pumpkin. This is just a little bit, just a little touch of sweetness. Now, there are some people who say that you can use honey and you can bake with honey. I do not recommend baking with honey. In Ayurveda, they say that honey should not be cooked. It is, a perfect food as it is. And what ends up happening is that you create a lot of what they call like stickiness, ojas, through the body. It's called, it's just what ends up happening is it can block the energetic centers of your body by just kind of creating this stickiness in there. So you just want to make sure that this is all blended all the way through. And then we're going to put this into the loaf pan. I really like using our hands for this, right?
Because it makes our food connect more with us.
That's right. It actually helps connect with our body more. It, just provides a lot of really good, not only energy, but just connection with this idea of, we are eating something that we are making, that we are creating. And the more connection we have with our food, the more that we are in touch with our bodies, because we're not just eating unconsciously. We're not just eating to eat like an addict. We just, food can either be medicine for you and you can eat things that you absolutely love, or it can be like your brain on drugs. Because what ends up happening is we trigger all the reward centers of our body, and our body thinks it is good, but then we don't end up feeling good because, we haven't connected to it. So the more that we are even just making our food, then, it's really giving us that ability to just love ourselves more, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the last
thing is we need to cover with a tea towel and let it sit for about 2 hours. So, abracadabra!
Nice. So because this bread is not going to rise, there's no gluten in it, you can put the whole thing in there and fill it all the way to the top. There's nothing that's going to rise from this. This is just about the water, being soaked up by all the grains and nuts. So one thing that I like to do is I just kind of like to pat it down here and make it a little bit of a dome shape. It kind of looks like,
it looks like it rises.
Yeah, it kind of looks like one of those fresh baked breads. It's just, a nice visual look, do whatever you want with that. So we're going to let this sit for 2 hours. Like I said, you can let this sit for 24 hours or, 3 hours, however long it takes. Then what we're going to do once we cover it, something you want to say?
It looks like a coffin of the yummiest bread of all.
I love that. So what we're going to do is we are going to let this sit for 2 hours. And we're going to put this in the oven. We're going to bake it at 400 degrees for about an hour and a half. I'm going to check it at about an hour, check it at an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to bake it for that long until it's got a nice, golden crust on it. You can stick a toothpick through and just make sure that there's no liquid coming up. And then we're going to let it sit for at least 2 hours. Again, because there's nothing in this to bind this except the oats. We want to make sure that it stays together. If you slice through it too early, it's just going to crumble. So I'm going to wait 2 hours for it to cool, and then we'll be back to slice this bread together, okay? All right, see you soon.
Everyone, my mom has got the bread nice and cooled, and we're going to put it in the oven.
Yeah, that's right. So this is nice and firm. The water has expanded everything. So now we're going to put it in the oven. So we have a very small oven here I like to use for just simple things. So because it's so close to the heating racks, I'm going to cover this with a bit of foil so it doesn't burn on the top. And then we'll take the foil off at the end. All right? So we're going to put this in here for about an hour. And then I'm going to check on it. And then when we take it out, we will cool it.
Cool it.
That's right. So after we take it out, we'll cool it on a cooling rack for a couple of hours, and then we'll go from there. Okay, see you soon.
Okay, guys. You ready for the bread to one?
Now, what are we looking for when we put a toothpick in?
We're looking for non-goopiness.
Yeah, go ahead. Put it all the way in. Non-goopiness. I love that description.
Yep, it's pretty solid.
Let's see. Let's see. Good job. Good job. Okay, so I'm going to use, here, go ahead and you can take the camera back. And I am going to take this bread and we are going to let it now sit for 2 hours, okay? 2 hours to cool because we want to make sure that the bread holds together. Ooh, it's got a nice crust on the top. I'm really excited for this bread. All right.
Hi everyone, this is me and my mom again, and we have taken out the bread. Let me sniff it. Mmm, delicious.
All right, so now we're just going to invert it and see how quickly it came out because we had the parchment on the bottom and it is, you know, just slipping right out.
That's pretty, that's good bread.
Look at this nice big loaf. So beautiful, full of seeds. Just so much goodness here. So now we're going to take this. Yeah, and you're going to just quickly, you know, just right here, just a little bit. Now, you're going to like this.
Okay, I can do it.
Okay, gently, because this is it's
Actually,
not like a, yeah, it's not like a regular bread where it's going to hold together as well, but it does hold together perfectly as long as you slice it nicely. Look at that beautiful seeded bread. And so you can toast this, put some, I like to use coconut oil. If you eat butter, you're welcome to use butter. I like to put vegan cream cheese on here. I like to, here, you want to try slicing a little piece here?
Yeah.
I like to put, I do my avocado bread on this, but it toasts so well. It's great as is, especially when it's warm. I'm going to take a little bite. It's perfect. It's perfect for the morning. It's perfect for sandwiches, any time of day.
Great.
So like I said, well, you did a nice job there. Right? Well, as long as you go straight down, totally fine. But this can be used for anything that you would use a normal bread for. It keeps really well. Like I said, this could be good at room temperature for about like 4 days, I'd say. And then in the fridge for up to 2 weeks. And then in the freezer for, you know, up to a year. Yeah. And I would not pre-slice it before putting it in the freezer. All I would do is allow it to thaw overnight, and then you can slice it when you need it. So that's it. That seems to shock you. Look at that. I mean, you know, think about freezer burn in your freezer and how often you clean it out. So think about things like that. We've had a bread in there for a year that had no freezer burn and everything was really good. I would recommend for about 6 months and, you know, go with that. Okay, so I think that's it. We're going to enjoy this bread probably tomorrow morning. It's late now here because we started this video late, but this is great. So if you think about it, it took about, you know, just about 30 minutes to prep it in the beginning, 2 hours to rest, an hour and a half to bake, and then 2 hours again to rest. So this will take a day to make, but I mean, what a wonderful gift that you give to yourself to have an amazing bread without gluten that you can store in the fridge because it doesn't have any of the gluten and it's good for your body, right? You want to try a little piece? It's nice and crunchy.
No thanks.
No thanks? Maybe because you're missing teeth there? Yeah. All right.
Otherwise, I'd eat it, I'd devour it.
Oh, you're so sweet. All right. See you next time.
Next time.
Bye.